All right, guys. So most of you have seen a lot of my 3D printed videos, and I saw in the comments of some of those videos, somebody suggested to see if I could 3D print body armor. So that's exactly what I've done. I've made 1/4-inch panels of PETG, and I've made, I don't even know how many of them, but I've made a giant block of them, and we're gonna shoot them with different calibers, and we're gonna see how realistic it would be to try to 3D print your own armor. I'm very curious to see if, say, each one of these panels is a 1/4-inch. So say, would it take maybe 3, 4 of these panels, and then that could stop, say, like maybe a 9mm, or is it completely unrealistic and say a 9mm will go through like 10 of them? I think we're gonna start with a 22. I think a 22 will be, I think it'll stop it no problem. I think it'll probably, a 22 might go through maybe 3 or 4. So I think that's gonna be pretty realistic, but I'm curious to see what happens as we work our way into the higher calibers. All right, so we're gonna start off with a 22 40 grain full metal jacket. Okay, so that did significantly less than I thought. I figured the plate would have shattered, but it only went through 3 plates. Okay, so that's actually way better than I expected. It only went through, well, it didn't go through, it stopped at the 3rd plate. So with 3 of these plates, you could be protected from a 22, and it's just 3D printed, which is kind of crazy. You can see the bullet in there. I really thought these things would shatter, like into a million pieces, because they're kind of fragile. These are stuck together though. Oh yeah, look at that. That second plate almost completely captured the bullet. That's actually kind of crazy. All right, so like I thought, it doesn't take as much to stop a 22. So with 3/4 of an inch of 3D printed material, you can have some body armor against a 22. All right, next up, we got 9mm, full metal jacket, 115 grain. Okay, well, apparently I can't aim, so we'll try that again. Okay, so seems like we went through 7 plates, and the back ones shattered. So we went through those, and we shattered those, and then it's completely stopped. Okay, so the exploding plates is more of what I expected. With the 22, I figured, maybe it'd shatter the first one, and then maybe stop in the 2nd or 3rd. I'm curious why it didn't shatter any of the other ones, just the back ones. I guess maybe the first one's absorbed it and then the shrapnel made it explode. 7 plates isn't that bad. You could print that off and like wear that, and it probably might be similar in weight to like actual body armor, maybe. So far, I'm pretty impressed. I printed so many because I was afraid that maybe 9mm would go through maybe like half of them or something, but it's actually holding up really well. I actually just found this on the table. The entire bullet is completely intact. It was sitting there on the back side of the stack. It didn't even like mushroom or shrapnel out, which is kind of crazy because it stopped after 7 plates. So it's like just like a little cushion, I guess. That actually blows my mind how it's completely intact, almost perfect. The tip of it is like a little bit flat, but other than that, it's completely fine. All right, next up we have 223, 55 grain, full metal jacket. Okay, well that was not nearly as eventful as I thought. I almost thought I missed, but we went in right here. Oh, but it penetrated really deep though. Okay, that's kind of surprising. 18. So 223 took 18 plates to stop. So that's unrealistic. You're not gonna print that off and wear that on your chest as body armor. I'm surprised it didn't explode out the plates like the 9mm. I figured it would have, but I guess maybe where it's moving so fast, it just kind of absorbed into the plates. I was gonna see if I could maybe find the bullet. No, I think it's disintegrated. Oh no, it's not completely. Oh, look at that. You can see where it went in, and and then where it turned sideways and then stopped. I think that this still holds up a little bit better than I thought. Although I wouldn't have guessed that it would have taken 18 plates to stop it. But that's a pretty cool little souvenir. All right, next up we have 300 Blackout, 120 grain, full metal jacket. This is a much bigger bullet that's moving a lot slower. So I think we're gonna see some plates exploding. Well, that's kind of crazy. There was no explosion of the plates. You can see that these plates are cracked back here. So I'm thinking it probably did about what the 223 did. Yeah, went through 22 instead of 18. Yeah, you can see the expansion there, where it got stuck in there. But it's kind of crazy. I thought it would have done a little bit more, but like 4 plates more than 223. You can see the backside of it there. Okay, pretty interesting. All right, now since I have just have some plates left, we're gonna have a little bit of fun. We're gonna try a 223 with a ballistic tip, see if that penetrates any differently than the first 223. And then also, there's a little cup of water back here, be like a little target. We'll see if we can penetrate through to that. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shoot it once, and then, you know, maybe it goes through, maybe it doesn't. If nothing really happens, I'll just keep going until something happens. Okay, so I hit way low, and it went through way less. Oh, you know what happened? Where I hit low, it like went down and through the table, I bet. Okay, we'll just do that again. I'll just try to aim a little higher. Okay, that one hit more close to the center, but it still didn't go through that many. Still stopped at like 6 plates. Okay, so I guess the ballistic tip isn't gonna penetrate deeper. Since the ballistic tip isn't penetrating that deep, I think what we'll do is we'll just finish it off with some regular rounds. Okay, so after all that, this front one, I'm shocked that this front one, or these front like 3, never shattered or never did anything. But then, if we go around to the back is just completely blown out and destroyed. And the water cup got hit probably 3 or 4 times. So in conclusion, can you 3D print body armor? The answer is kind of 50-50. If you're only expecting to be shot with small calibers, then you could probably get away with it. But if you're under attack from something heavy, I wouldn't recommend it. All right, me from the future here. So, you've just watched this video. So I figured I would just tack on a little story time along with this video to tell you about all of the pain and suffering and, I don't know, mental anguish and just all the things that I went through to make this video happen. Because it is probably hands down the worst thing I've ever experienced in my life making this video. So, I went to a piece of property that my family owns to film this video. And to get to the spot where we were gonna film, I had to go, walk through some tall grass, okay? That's a very important note. So, I haul all the plates and all that stuff to the spot where we're gonna film, through the tall grass, do the filming, everything's fine, whatever. But while I'm filming, I keep noticing that it feels like something is biting me on my ankles. And every time I look down, when I feel like something is biting me on my ankles, there's these black flies that keep landing around my ankles. So while I'm filming, I'm seeing this and I'm thinking, oh, these flies are biting me. That's why, I feel that. So I kind of just, You know, I'm locked in on filming mode and trying to make sure like the shots are lined up and everything looks good. So I feel it, but I'm kind of just ignoring it, right? So I get through the whole filming process, everything's done, and I just keep like getting this like feeling that something's biting me. And still every time I look down, I see these black flies on my ankles. So, you know, I just ignore it, whatever. Load up everything after I get done, and I'm driving home. Okay? Driving down the road, not even thinking about my ankles anymore, driving. And then I notice, and like all of a sudden I get this like sharp, not like pain, but it just felt like a sharp, like almost like burning sensation on my ankles. So while I'm driving, I'm kind of like looking at my ankles, trying to see like you know, what's going on. And I look down, and on my legs, and I had like, and to preface, I had like crew socks on, so like, you know, about this much above my ankle was covered with a sock. So above the sock, while I'm driving, I can see these like all these little black dots on my leg. And what it looked like was, I don't know what kind of plant it is, but I know there's a plant that I've ran into before that like if you brush up against it, it has like, I don't know if it's seeds or what it is, but they're kind of like sticky, like they'll stick to your skin and they're kind of like itchy. So I figured, okay, you know, whenever I was walking through the tall grass, one of those was probably in there, and then like now I have all these like little seeds or something on me, and that's why it's itchy. And then I just kind of like, you know, brushed some of them off and, you know, scratched a little bit, and then figured, okay, whenever I get home, I got to wash this stuff off, and you know, everything's fine. Little did I know what was about to happen. So, drive home. As soon as I get home, my first thing on my mind is, you know, I gotta wash these seeds off or whatever so my ankles can stop itching. I get home, go into the bathroom to wash my feet off. I peel my sock back, okay? I want you to picture this. I peel my sock back, and on both ankles, all I see are hundreds and hundreds of these black dots. But it's all under my sock. So I'm thinking, if I brushed into a plant, how would all these like seeds or whatever get underneath my sock? So then I start like trying to like, you know, brush them off and wash them off in the sink, and they're not coming off. I'm thinking, yo, what is this? But they were so tiny. Like, I mean, they were like the size of like a dot that you would make with a pen, if that. Some of them were even smaller than that. So then I get real close, or actually, I pulled out my, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I pulled out my phone camera and took a picture and then zoomed in on the picture. And then I could see what these really were, and they were ticks. I had hundreds and hundreds of baby ticks all inside my socks, biting my ankles. And that is what the itching was, and that is why my ankles were burning. And then once I like kind of looked for a minute, I could see not only were all these black dots on me, once I stared for a minute, I could see that most of them were like moving around. So then I knew, okay, these are ticks. That's what this is. So I started trying to wash them off. Most of them didn't wash off because most of them were biting me, which is probably why I was itching. So I had to spend, and this was traumatizing, I had to spend, I think, almost 3 hours with a pair of tweezers picking off each individual tick off both of my ankles. And not just my ankles. There was some stray ones that, you know, got up my legs. They got all the way up to my stomach. I don't even know how many different bites, like, you know, back of my arm. I mean, just, they crawled up everywhere. I think I even had one like up on my shoulder. But luckily they were mostly concentrated on my ankles. So I was able to get most of them off after I spent the traumatizing 3 hours sitting there picking off each tick one by one. And then while I would be picking off each tick one by one, I would see like another one trying to like crawl up my leg or something. And they were all various sizes. Like some of them were like the size of like a dot, like from a pen. And I could see those real easy and pick them off. But then some of them were like even smaller than that. And then they were like kind of like borderline translucent, I guess. And you could just, like against my skin, I could just barely even see them. And I would just, where I was holding a flashlight, I could see like a slight shadow. And then I knew like, oh, there's another one there. Then I could pick it off. It was so crazy. Like after I spent the 3 hours picking them all off, I took a shower because I felt disgusting, obviously. Got out of the shower, looked again, found like maybe 15 or 20 that I had missed somehow. Took another shower, got out, found another like 2 or 3 more. Took another shower, got out, and I soaked myself down with rubbing alcohol, just like everything to try to make sure these things are dead. Let's see, what else did I go through? The whole rest of the day, actually for the next like 2 days, I felt like every single time something was like touching me, I felt like there was another tick on me. The paranoia for about 2 to 3 days afterwards was insane. Every little breeze, like just my shirt touching me weird, I felt like something was crawling on me. It was ridiculous. But that wasn't even the worst part. The picking off the ticks and like the panic of knowing that there's hundreds of ticks on you actively biting you is insane. But the worst part was the next day. And I'll include pictures and stuff in here. Like I'll show you a picture of what some of the ticks looked like on me, because I didn't take a picture until after I got a bunch of them off, but I have a picture with some of them on there still. So that was traumatizing. But the next day, I got woken up the next day by the itching. Now, I didn't realize that tick bites itch. I've only been bitten by a tick maybe 2 or 3 times in my entire life up until this point. And most of the time, actually I think every other time I've been bit, it's been by like 1 tick or maybe 2, not hundreds at once. So I didn't realize that the bites like itch, or maybe I'm like mildly allergic or something. Because if you look at this picture that I'm showing you now, the next day whenever I woke up, it looked like I had a disease or something. Like I just had welts all over my ankles. It looked like the worst case of poison ivy that I've ever had, or like I just got attacked by mosquitoes or something. And the itching was the worst thing I've ever experienced in my life. That was the worst part of the entire thing. Because for 2 weeks, literally 2 weeks straight, my ankles just itched like you wouldn't believe. I can't even describe it. It was like the worst case of poison ivy that I've ever had in my entire life. They itched 24/7, nonstop. For 2 weeks, I didn't even really get that good of sleep because they would just start itching. It was crazy. The only thing that would even slightly curb the itching for whatever reason was if I put ice packs on my ankles. I guess like the cold of it would, I don't know, do something, and it would like kind of subside the itching for a while. But then, within 20 or 30 minutes of having the ice packs off my ankles, then they would start like burning and itching again. And then whenever I would like lay down to go to sleep, having my feet underneath the covers would kind of like make them warm up, I guess. And then that would like intensify the itching even more. So I had to like sleep kind of like sideways with my ankles like out from under the covers to try to curb the itching. And then I couldn't wear socks. I couldn't wear regular shoes at all because there was so many bites on the back side of like where my heel is. Every time I would walk, my shoe would rub where the bites were, and then it would just make it itch so bad. And I swear I scratched down to the bone like 20 times during this 2 weeks. It was insane. It was, like I said, it was the worst thing I've ever been through in my life. So I went through that 2 weeks of itching, and then I mean, it's still itched for at least a month. You know, not the first 2 weeks were the worst, but it was still like mildly itching for about a month. And now, current day is, I think, 6 or almost 7 weeks since I filmed that video and since this has happened. And I still, to this day, I'll show you pictures, still to this day have marks, have all the marks from the bumps of the bites. Like, they still haven't gone away. I still look like I have some disease or something on my ankles. So it's insane. So that's my story. Leave a comment. I'm so curious to hear if this has happened to anybody else. What was your experience? Did you have a million bumps like me? Did your legs itch? The worst itch you've ever had in your whole life? I would love to hear your experiences. So, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one.